Hey everyone, this is Todd Medina. I'm coming at you today. By the way, hope everybody had a good weekend. It's Sunday. Hope everybody got to train this weekend, got to rest, got to spend some time with the friends and the family, and got all the stuff they needed to get done. So we're about in the middle of summer right now, so it's a good time to get outside and get things done. But what this video today is about, by the way, so what I have here, I've got Royce Gracie. He signed this belt for me, so it's a Royce Gracie belt. For a UFC belt. I've got my M1 Global heavyweight belt. By the way, this is you will never see, I'm the only American that have won the heavyweight or any M1 belt from Russia, okay? So I'm officially the M1 heavyweight world champion. So you won't see another M1 belt in the U.S., okay? And then we've got the King of the Cage belt. Now, what's crazy about this belt, this is probably the least most expensive belt that I have, or looking wise, but it holds the most water. Now, this guy over here, back in the day, I had fought Matsui. It was Sakuraba's #1 training partner. And some of you young guys might not know who this is, but Sakuraba was kind of the Conor of back in the day. Like if you could get a fight with Sakuraba, that was the money fight. That's the one you wanted to get. So I fought his training partner here in the States, King of the Cage. And what I was told is, if you don't even have to beat Matsui, if you do well against him, well, we're going to put you against Sakuraba. I'm like, sweet. So I trained my ass off for that and put the sticks to him, put the boots to him, okay? And I won that fight, and I ended up blooding him up real bad. It was a real physical fight for him, okay? He pretty much got an ass whooping on that one because I really wanted that Sakuraba fight. And then obviously I never got that fight after that. But what I did do is at the time, Wanderlei was on one side of the bracket, and I'm just throwing this out there, on one side out there, and I was on the other side. We were both in the weight class, same weight class, just smashing people. He was over in Brazil smashing people. I was over here smashing people. So after I won this belt and beat Sakuraba's boy, I got a call from Japan saying, okay, here's the deal. You don't get Sakuraba, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you and Wanderlei together, and whoever wins that fight, now we're going to give you a big contract, and now we're going to start making some money. I'm like, cool. So they set that fight up in Brazil. So I go to Brazil, and I take that fight. The night before, this was Friday night, like 3 in the morning, I go out to find something to eat, and everything was closed. So I ordered room service. I got a turkey sandwich, ate that. So now we're probably like 4 or 5 in the morning. And like 3-4 hours later, I had food poisoning like it was next level. Like I've had food poisoning before, but nothing like this. So I'm saying now it's probably like noon, 11 or noon. So they call the promoter and let him know what's going on. The promoter and the doctor come to my hotel room. I open up the door and they're like, oh shit. They go, hey, did you know you're green? And I'm like, yeah, I pretty much feel like it was just the worst thing ever. So now we're on Saturday afternoon. The fight's Saturday night. So I had I think there's like 3 guys that went with me for the corner. So there's 3 of us over there. But whoever won that fight was now where we're making some big bucks, okay? I threw up all day. I stayed in bed just throwing up, and everything else that goes with it. They came to pick me up for the fight. I threw up on the way to the arena. When we got to the arena, I couldn't warm up, I couldn't hit mitts or anything like that for more than like 5 or 10 seconds without throwing up. I threw up on the way to the ring. It was just a big old mess. So, but I was going to give all I had to do. Like there's that one story with Michael Jordan when he played in the playoffs back in the day. People had said that he had the flu, but it wasn't. It was food poisoning. So Michael had food poisoning, and he's like, no, I'm still going to play the game. The team doctor came up to the room, said, hey, Mike, you don't have to play this game. We understand. And Mike wasn't feeling it, so feeling the doctor, that is, kicked the doctor out of the room, and obviously still played the game and kicked ass doing so. So that's where I'm going with this whole thing is, if that's our sport, what we do is a little bit more a lot more dangerous than that. So now my guys, if they show up and they're sick or obviously have the flu, then they can't. don't let him compete. But nobody said one word. Nobody was going to, because they knew how headstrong I was on that fight. Okay, so that was a serious thing that happened, and lo and behold, here we are. So what I want to talk today about is a very serious subject. And this happens with everybody. So everybody gets in an argument with their girl, okay? So some small, some big, but everybody does. You've done it, your parents, your grandparents, mine, hers, his, whatever. Everybody has, okay? It could be something that's so small, and I know everybody can relate with me on this, is that you ask your girl, you ask your wife, you ask your girlfriend, you're like, hey, what do you want to eat? And what does she say? I don't care. You're like, sweet. So you go to your favorite spot, and she's like, well, I don't want this. And you're saying to yourself, you're like, but you said you don't care. Well, I don't care, but I don't want that. So this goes back on and forth for a couple minutes, and you still can't come up with a place that both of you want to eat. And you probably pretty much don't care, but she can't pick a place, but she wants you to pick a place, but the place you pick, it's not good, and it just, something small turns into something big, and then you get in an argument. So hopefully a lot of times it just blows over. It's not a big deal, and you guys can find a place to eat. But it happens to everybody, okay? So that's one way something small can turn into big. Okay, what I'm going to do, what I want to say is, and you say, like, if you're talking to one of your boys or whatever, hey, what happened? Oh, I got in a fight with my chick. No. Okay, from now on, please, let's do this. Let's not use that word fight. Let's use the word debate or discussion. What happened? Oh, I was having a discussion with my chick. Okay, and it can be, a full-on back and forth thing, but please never say fight. 4, if you compete, okay, the only time you fight is when you get paid to get in that cage or that ring. Correct? Correct. Okay, that's the only time you actually fight. With your sparring partners, your friends, whoever. At the gym, when you're at home in your home gym, or even going some other place to work with some guys, you're still not fighting. What are you doing? You're sparring. You're training. Okay? So to get in an argument with your girl and say, and if somebody asks what happens, and God forbid, somebody called the police, and they show up and you say, hey, what happened? Got in a fight with my girl. You didn't get in a fight with your girl. Just for me, okay? For me, because I care so much about everybody watching this video. Please do not say that, okay? Don't say fight. You can say, hey, we're having a discussion or we're having a debate. I actually got that from the minister Joel Osteen, okay? So he says when him and his wife get in arguments, it's a debate or discussion, okay? But because it's not a fight. When we fight is when we get paid to go in the cage. Am I right? I know I'm right. Okay, so please, for your sake, and something that after the O.J. Simpson trial happened and that whole mess, from then on out, if somebody was called, if the police were called for domestic violence, somebody's going to go to get taken away in cuffs, okay? And the majority of the time, especially if you train, but a guy, the majority of the time, the guy is going to go, okay? If the police roll up and they find out you train and your chick says you pushed her, touched her, anything kind of remote like that, but domestic violence was called or somebody had called, you're going to go, okay? And then you're going to pick up a case and it's just a big bunch of baloney, okay? So sometimes you can hopefully not getting away with anything because you didn't do anything, but my point is, please just don't use the word fight. Okay, if somebody asks what happens or what's going on, hey, my girl and I were having a debate or we were having a discussion, but please leave that fight word out of your mouth, okay? The only time you fight is when you're getting paid to get in the cage, okay? Now, if you notice, my son brought this up to me a month or so ago. Most all fighters, okay, have gotten in trouble, and a lot of them for domestic violence, whether they've done it or they haven't. It could be a small push, and some of them have done some things, and that's 100% completely wrong. But from Jones to Connor to even Cowboy, I mean, everybody's had problems with the police, okay? I think Daniel Cormier is probably the only person that hasn't, okay? And you get some that slip through. But now if you look, sport, jiu-jitsu, or submission wrestlers, it's a whole different breed, okay? Those guys rarely get in trouble, especially stupid stuff, okay? Nothing to get in the news about or anything like that, okay? So that's where I'm going with this whole thing. I'm not saying anybody's different or better. It's just different, but nobody's better than one another, okay? Just different kind of guys, okay? Fighters, MMA guys, end up getting in some sort of trouble all the time, okay? Whether they meant to or not, It's something about it. And then the submission guys, the gi guys, not so much. Okay, so I give credit to those guys because we need to follow suit. Whatever they're doing or not doing is what we got to follow. But my point with this video is, please, okay, if something goes, if you get in an argument with your girl, don't say you got in a fight, because you didn't. Okay, so you got in a discussion, you were having a discussion or a debate. You're good to go. Okay, that's the name of that. So there was none of this around when I was younger coming up for anybody to tell us guys. There was only a handful of us guys who were actually training, you know, fighting. So there's nobody before us to let us know. Okay, and now coming up through the ranks and seeing, been all over the world, traveled everywhere, fought everywhere, I've learned and seen a lot of things. So I'll throw any information out there to help somebody that I can, okay, even if I shoot myself in the foot about it, okay? But it's super important that you stay out of trouble if you want to make this whole fighting thing your career, okay? From the friends you hang around with, from how you treat your girl, from what girls you go out with, and that's another thing too. Certain kind of guys who fight attract a certain kind of girl, okay? I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything like that, but there usually ends up being friction in there, okay? So just mind your P's and Q's, and when it starts getting too warm, I mean hot, heated, like something's going to go down, just leave, okay? If she's not going to leave, which I'm not saying she has to, then you got to be the bigger person and leave, okay? Because that turns into a whole big old mess, okay? And now, what I'm saying, this has happened to everybody, even if it's just an argument about food, because that's happened to everybody, and it happens so easy, okay? So my point with this thing is I care for you, and I want you to stay out of trouble and learn from my mistakes and the mistakes before me. And if you look around, if you see, there's a lot of fighters who've gotten, whether they've done it or not, but they've still gotten called for domestic violence, okay? And that's no joke, okay? And I don't want that to happen to anybody. So I'm trying to kind of make light of a serious subject, but what a main thing I want to do is keep you out of trouble. Never, 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 if you get in an argument with your girl, say that you've had a fight. These two words, you've had a discussion or debate. Discussion or debate, and that's all it was, okay? Because you're never going to put hands on her or do anything like that to raise suspicion anyway, okay? So that is the story of the day. Keep your ass out of trouble. So please, if this video was helpful to you, smash that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and if you have any stories or anything else that you would like me to go over or something, maybe we can rabbit hole and bring this whole stuff up again, what I was talking about today, because we could go on and on for this. Please let me know. So for right now, if you didn't know, now you know.